Namaskar. In the digital era, communication through emails is an integral part of our daily lives. Our guest today is the creator of free email, an innovator. Please welcome Sabeer Bhatia, co-founder Hotmail. Welcome to the program, Sabeer.
Namaste.
Let's do some time travel. We're in 2024. Let's go back 28 years. How did Hotmail happen in 1996?
Actually, it was a very simple idea. My partner Jack Smith and I were both working at a company, and we had an idea to do something on the web. We had a concept of creating a web-based database, and when we were putting the business plan for our business together, the company put a firewall around the corporate intranet, and that made it impossible for him and for me to access our personal email accounts. I had a personal email account at Stanford, and he had one in those days at AOL. And that's when it occurred to us, what if we made email available on the web that would solve our problem? And that was the genesis of the idea for Hotmail.
Right. What if is so powerful. But when you say web, so viewers need to appreciate that World Wide Web came in 91, while internet came much earlier. So emails did exist, but they were not free.
They were not free and they were not ubiquitous. So for example, I went to the US in 1988. I had an account at Caltech, caltech.edu. So the internet has been around since 1969, but it was primarily used by educational institutions and it was used by the defense. It was only in 1991 or 1994 actually, when Mark Andreessen created the World Wide Web that launched, all of the revolution in the consumer internet space, because the World Wide Web made it easy for people to access any web page, any website, just by pointing and clicking. And that the ease of use was the reason for the internet's mass adoption.
So we need to appreciate that Hotmail was a free email, not just in India, but across the globe.
It was free for the whole world. We launched it not just for India, we launched it in the US, but it was for every citizen anywhere in the world. And one of the questions that some of the venture capitalists asked me was, wait a minute, I already get an email account when I sign up for AOL or for CompuServe. What is this free aspect? They did not understand that in countries like India, where there were limited internet connections in those days, through one internet connection, there could be 500 email accounts or 5,000 email accounts. It was like the personal identity of an individual on the net. And that's why it was adopted en masse very quickly by a lot of people.
Absolutely. I was one among them. I remember very distinctly that in 90s when I created my first email, it was a Hotmail address. But how did this name come? How did Jack and you decide Hotmail?
Hotmail is actually a short form of HTML email. And HTML email, we called it Hotmail.
And since you mentioned you were interacting with venture capitalists, and if it is a free email service delivery, then where does the revenue come from?
Yeah, good question. We didn't even think about the revenue.
Okay.
In those days, we just said that it was going to be advertising supported, and our closest equivalent service was Yahoo,
okay,
which was a directory service, and they just displayed ads and they were supported by ads. So we said our email service will also be supported through ads, and we just focused on growth, not so much on the revenue generation in the early days.
So in 96 when Hotmail started, would you say it was a startup then?
Yes, of course it was a startup, completely. I mean, it was a crazy idea at a time when the internet was very young.
Yes.
That is the definition of a startup, and it solved a problem.
Yes.
It was a technology company that solved a problem. It wasn't created with the purpose of making money. It was about solving a problem.
But how do you see the evolution of mode of communication? Because there was a time in the ancient world when we used to say kabutar jaja, and message was delivered by the pigeons. Then we said dakiya dak laya, the ubiquitous postman. And then comes Hotmail in 96. How do you see the evolution?
So the evolution is really the story of technology. When I first went to the US, I used to write letters home. because my parents didn't have any email account.
Oh, so you have written handwritten letters?
I have written the letters. And then we used to make phone calls, but only once a month, because phone calls were like $5 a minute to call India. I mean, ridiculously expensive. And then the whole internet revolution came, and I could send a message to my mom or my parents immediately. And they were also pioneers in adopting this whole email identity, because obviously they were my parents and they got proficient at using email. And the world is just getting closer. And now the communication is getting so instant that we have replaced text and written form letters with video. I mean, immediately you shoot a video here, you put it on Twitter or on some other account, and the whole world gets it right away.
Absolutely, technology is a force multiplier. So once Hotmail was established and you traveled a decade, how did you ensure that you had a user-friendly interface? Because the end consumer is very demanding. They want more and more features. Yeah. Then how did that journey went for Hotmail?
Actually, the most important aspect of was not so much the features, but that we were the first. Okay. And oftentimes on the internet, it's not how feature rich you are, a product that wins, it's the one that solves a problem first. Okay. Today WhatsApp has solved a problem. 70–80% of India is on WhatsApp. So during the course of my journey, we had created a competitor to WhatsApp too. And once again, the issue was we were second. Okay. Being second is no good on the internet. You have to be number one, you have to solve a problem, and then the whole world is yours.
So Hotmail had that first mover advantage, but then like you mentioned, Yahoo came, and then we had the Google-backed Gmail and many more email service providers. How did you see the competition?
So the competition initially, we were ahead of them, so there was no competition. But the one company that came 10 years later, that was Gmail, actually resulted in, I should say, the demise of Hotmail, if you will, because they offered so much more storage. Okay. In those days, Microsoft was offering about 20 megabytes of storage per email account. Okay. And Gmail came and offered 1 GB. Okay. That completely, there is like an order of magnitude more storage being offered, and that completely changed, and all the people in India switched from Hotmail to Gmail.
So how did Hotmail adapt, and what's the current status of Hotmail?
So Hotmail has become Outlook. Okay. And it adapted by matching the storage of Gmail, and there is plenty of, today storage is not a problem. That's the beauty of technology. As technology progresses, the costs are rapidly declining of storage, of computation, of access, and that is like a remarkable thing in today's day and age where the future, we are already looking at consuming 20 times the bandwidth that we are consuming today. And so we will be able to watch everything in 4K. Besides 4K, we will have AR and VR experiences. It's exciting to be in the virtual world. And I often tell both even your viewers this, that Silicon Valley is built on ideas, just human thought. There's nothing physical. It's not the buildings in Silicon Valley. And in my lifetime, in my humble 30 years over there, I have seen almost $50 trillion of new wealth being created out of ideas. And so we really live in a world of ideas today.
So like I said, even I had my first account in Hotmail in 90s, and many viewers watching Doordarshan right now might say that we also had an account on Hotmail. Can they still go back and access all their previous emails? Is the data secured?
No. The data is secure, but obviously if you don't use an account for a long period of time, it's probably been recycled.
So since you mentioned AR, VR, which stands for augmented reality and virtual reality, what other technologies are now being integrated? Because we hear so many of them: artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud computing, so much of data technology.
So there are so many verticals in the technology space. There is obviously this whole AI revolution, which is a revolution in applying pattern recognition to language and creating something just by prompting an engine.
Yes.
You can create video, you can create images, you can get responses by just typing your question in, which is remarkable. It has the intelligence of all of the internet.
Okay.
And that's the whole AI bit. Augmented reality and virtual reality is where you will be able to experience the world. Today, our experience through video is 2D. Imagine if you can experience everything in 3D, which is how we live life.
Yes, yes.
So you may have to put on a headset, and in that headset, you will be, let's say you and I have a Zoom conference equivalent,
Yes.
You don't really need to be over here, but to me, it will appear as if you are sitting here while you're sitting in your offices in Doordarshan.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of augmented reality and that's virtual reality. Augmented reality is a superimposition of your physical world with another 3D world. So for example, you're operating an aircraft, right? You look at the screen on your dashboard of the aircraft, but you don't know which button to press. You will actually superimposed on that will be either a video or an instruction list. Do this first, do this second, do this third. So you don't even have to think what you have to do. It's all there for you. So you say do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That is augmented reality. That on top of your real world, there is another world being augmented.
Yes.
That's the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality. In virtual reality, it's a completely new world in which you are not sitting here, but I get the same experience as if you are sitting over here.
Very nice, fascinating. In conversation with Sabeer Bhatia, co-founder of Hotmail, and there's another aspect to Sabeer, which is that you've also created a Showreel. Now this is a mobile app that you and I can download on the mobile, and it helps you understand critical thinking. What is critical thinking and how do you teach it?
Fantastic question. So critical thinking is really helping you think about a problem from a different viewpoint. If I give you a problem and I give you the solution for it, I actually haven't done anything. I haven't taught you anything.
Okay.
It's the traditional method.
Okay.
Learn this, study this, and this is the answer, regurgitate it.
Okay.
That is the education of the last century, which is when people needed a lot of factory workers.
Mostly rote learning.
Rote learning. But if I tell you that this is how the phone works, what else can you do with this phone? What other things can you imagine that you can do on this phone that are not being done currently?
Okay.
Now I have sparked your imagination.
Okay.
I have asked you to think beyond what is just core knowledge about the phone.
Okay.
That is critical thinking. And I believe that critical thinking is not taught anywhere in India. The entire system of education in India, which thankfully has been devised by the British, we haven't changed much in the last 50, 60, 70 years. How do you incorporate critical thinking? So I have created a course on entrepreneurship on this app, Showreel, and once again, because I'm appealing to the younger audience, there are no long videos that they have to watch. Each video is only 1.5 to 2 minutes long. So I've created 23 short videos on entrepreneurship that gives them a flavor for how entrepreneurship works. But then I ask them 30 critical questions, and they have to learn on their own time by Googling, by using the internet, by using services, large language models, whatever, their friends, family, and then they come back and answer these questions in the form of a video interview with me.
Okay.
But I'm digitized. And this interview can also be in Hindi.
Okay.
So they can answer these questions in Hindi. And if they pass, we give them a certificate of completion. Then they are certified critical thinkers.
Wow.
And we think that the economy of the next 5 years and 10 years will require people who have this ability of critical thinking, because all mundane jobs that we can do, technology will take over. AI and robotics robots will do better than even human beings.
Yes.
So what does that leave us? It leaves us to think about solutions to problems and solve them on our own using technology. That's what this course teaches.
So when a teacher in school gives you to write an essay and the student goes to generative AI like ChatGPT does it.
Yeah.
That is not helping much.
That is not.
You have to think of your own. Give
it.
us more instances of how I can develop my critical thinking.
So let's take an example of the first question that I ask on entrepreneurship. The first question I ask is, in your own opinion, what is the difference between a traditional business and a startup? Okay. Now, every person will have a different answer. Okay. A 9th grader has a different answer to that question. A 20-year-old will have a different answer. I will have a different answer.
If I have to answer, I'll say startup leverages technology, whereas traditional business may not. Is that right?
You're partly correct, okay, but not completely. If you were to ask me that question, yes, I would say a startup solves some fundamental problem using technology. A traditional business is just there to make money.
And given the fact that the world has got a lot of global challenges and there are a lot of India-specific challenges as well, we need a lot of critical thinking.
Absolutely. I think all of India is a challenge. There is so much to be done over here. If only we can channel the brains of 1.4 billion people into thinking about solving these problems than just existing. The problem is, because we dwell so much in the past that we are not looking at the future. And the whole idea of even our show, B Cubed, is to spark the imagination of people so that they can let loose their creative spirits. Today, even the I was a product of Indian education, so I shouldn't downplay it as much. But it does not leave room for human imagination. It's all about how many marks. 600,000 people take the UPSC exam and 6,000 people get it. What are we creating? We are creating super efficient automatons, but that is killing their creativity. We need to enable people, children, the next generation, to dream. To dream of anything that they can be, and then to take a step back and see how they can achieve their dreams. And the dream is not to get a job. The dream should be to solve some problem and make human life better.
Absolutely. The dream has to be to serve humanity. So to the viewers of Doordarshan, could you ask 3-4 critical questions that sparks imagination, that fosters creativity?
I can ask questions like, when you look around your friends and your family and your workplace, do you see certain problems that you can solve? Can you identify certain customers that have that problem? And do you think it is within you to use technology to solve that problem? For example, a company like Zomato or whatever solve the problem of delivery, right? Delivery could be one thing. You may find that the roads, or let's say in your village, there is no water, right? Can you think creatively of bringing water to your village, not relying on the government, but yourself? Maybe you can channel water from a local river that is not that far away, dig a ditch or a kind of a canal that brings water. Now that is a critical solution to a problem that your entire village has.
So issues like related to sustainable development, whether food security, nutritional security, you mentioned about water management, purifying air.
That's right.
All of this is concerned with our health.
The smog problem in Delhi. Why doesn't somebody think and say, okay, what is the problem? Can I solve it? Either solve it economically by buying the bales of husk that people believe is the problem that is causing the smog pollution, or is it by incentivizing people to bicycle to work as opposed to driving a car to work? So these are the kind of critical thinking ideas that people have to constantly be looking around to seeing what can I do to make this better. another example is, let's say, delivery, right? I mean, some people might want, fresh milk. Yes. Can I buy a cow? I mean, this is a crazy idea, but can I bring the cow to every household and say, I'll give you fresh milk? That's a crazy idea, but yes. Crazy ideas change the world.
Yes.
And crazy ideas are an outcome of critical thinking.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to encourage. Nothing is crazy. The thing over here is people tell you why not to do things. I was taking a walk the other day, in this local Tilpat Valley, and I reached a junction. I could have gone right or I could have gone left. I tried to go left. The guy says, oh, not allowed, not allowed. I'm like, what did I do wrong? He says, not allowed. Okay, tell me why it's not allowed. But, so we stick by rules that somebody else have made that are not relevant to us anymore. The idea about entrepreneurship is about breaking rules. As long as you don't harm anyone and you make life better for other people, breaking a rule is okay.
So, Sabeer, since we are now into the era of anytime learning, anywhere learning, would you encourage students to, like if they want to access Showreel, how would, say, students of Delhi University or other universities access it?
Very simple. They have to just go to the App Store or Play Store, download the app, watch these videos, answer the questions, and not just that. We've already partnered with Jamia to give them 6 units of university credit for answering the questions.
Okay.
So they have an incentive. If they want to pursue their degrees at universities, they already have 6 units of credit.
And in terms of the career scope, do you think this is the way forward? No matter which career you opt for, critical thinking remains a crucial differentiator.
Huge differentiator. And I will say, majority of companies will hire people who are critical thinkers and problem solvers rather than traditional, folks that are outcomes of universities.
And one may not necessarily be born with critical thinking. One can be taught critical thinking.
One can be taught critical thinking, but it is, I believe intelligence is universal. Okay. I believe that even kids of farmers or kids of rickshaw pullers have in themselves, in their brains, the ability to imagine things and to solve problems. It's just that we've never given them the opportunity. We have overburdened them, including myself, with rules. You can't do this, you can't do this. My son has broken 3 televisions at home. I didn't scold him one time. It's okay, it doesn't matter. He takes some toy, first thing is he takes it apart. He's learning how it works. It doesn't matter.
No, so that's the message you're giving to the parents, because God forbid if they break even a small toy, you never know if you get scolding from your parents.
No scolding. Scolding is bad. Just keep encouraging. Be positive is the message.
So Sabeer, one question. Hotmail was a free email that you gave to the world. If somebody wants to access all of your courses on critical thinking, how to learn entrepreneurship and things, is that also free?
It's free. It's free, completely. Download it, it's free. The app is free, the course is free. Only if you want to get credit, you're going to pay some amount of money, which we share with Jamia.
Excellent. So congratulations on the brilliant journey that you've had. What is your life objective? You've given to the world Hotmail, we all have benefited. Now you're giving us Showreel, critical thinking, we'll all benefit. What's the objective of your life, Sabeer, and what's your philosophy?
Philosophy is very simple. It's there are only 3 things that are important in life. Someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to. I think what I want to do is teach people my way of thinking, simply. That I'm here to help you solve problems, and here is how I thought of a problem and solved it. Here is a course that if you want to use it, it will help you think outside of the box. And by the way, I will also encourage you to solve all of these problems. I don't want to say anything right now, but I'm working on creating a fund that will fund crazy ideas too. Okay.
Any other crazy idea that is on your mind and probably can be on
There are, but when it is fully cooked, I will share it with you.
Whenever we talk about digital economy, ethics is very important. So how do you look at the entire issue of data security? Because in India, in 2023, we came up with a landmark DPDP Act, Digital Data Protection Act. Do you think one has to be cautious also when you are on the digital platform?
Always, always. I think data is like very important, and protection of data is important. And there will be bad actors, good actors. I think every individual user of the internet or the web has to determine which, and use intuition to determine, what app or what service is a good one versus, what is one which is there to steal my data, kind of thing. So we are subjected to this not just in India, but in the US and other parts of the world as well. But I think the good will always outweigh the bad, because in general, like you said, what is my philosophy? What do I want to do now? I want to leave the world a better place. And one area where I think I can make a difference is in the field of education, which I think India has the potential. India needs to transform itself from an asset-based economy into an IP-based economy.
Intellectual property.
And the way it can do that is unleash the forces of critical thinking. If we can create 200, 300 million children who are critical thinkers and problem solvers, my God, India will change the world faster than it is trying to change the world currently.
And what are your memories of Doordarshan? And what role do you see the national broadcaster Doordarshan play when we are looking to transform India from knowledge economy to an IP-based economy?
So Doordarshan can be a great platform for, disseminating content that is created, IP that is created. My memories of Doordarshan are that was the only channel when I was growing up, like, and the one Chitrahar, and we used to watch the Hindi movies once a week, and anything, all the Olympics that I used to watch in the 80s, 84, 88, all was through Doordarshan. So, that will be a part of my life forever.
So decade after decade, and this is my last question, innovators like you will come up with some technology that will bring the world closer. But sometimes you feel with all the technology at your disposal and at the click of the button, when you say something, the entire humanity is listening to you. Do you still miss the old days? Would you still like to write? Would Sabeer Bhatia still like to write a handwritten letter?
I don't know about a letter, but I still write.
Okay.
I still write. In fact, in the previous episode, I wrote all the questions for my co-host, Javed, and I still write. And I still like writing, and before I give a speech anywhere, I don't write the entire speech with hand, but I write all the points that I have to address by hand, and then I just use, my subconscious memory to go and elaborate on those points.
Absolutely. Pleasure speaking with you, Sabeer, and I'm sure that all the points that you've made today would have a great impact on our viewers so that we can help India build an intellectual property based economy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.